Wow, I feel like that was really neat. Thank you to Dr. White and the team for that introduction. That was really awesome. My name is Minda Hartz, and I'm just so happy that you're here with us celebrating. If you wandered into the room, you planned on being here, we're glad you're here. Ping somebody, send them the link. We want to celebrate Dr. White. This is such an accomplishment to write a third book. I get the pleasure of welcoming you all. I am a best-selling author, international speaker, but today I am friend, I am supporter, I am advocate of Dr. White, and I'm honored to serve as host for my friend, Dr. Nika White, virtual book launch celebration. Put some ones in the chat if you're here to celebrate, if you're here to have some fun. I want to see you get active in that chat as if we're all in the same room together. Let's make it lit. Let's make some people jealous who aren't here yet. Okay, so today we're talking about all things uncomplicated, inclusion uncomplicated. So let me say it again. We're talking about all things inclusion uncomplicated, a transformative guide to simplify DEI. If you haven't gotten your book, there'll be time for you to do so, to put it in your cart. We're going to be talking about it because we want you to be part of some amazing things that are coming down the pipeline in regards to inclusion uncomplicated. And with everything going on in the DEI space, this is the book that you need more than ever right now. And so on behalf of Dr. White and Nika White Consulting, thank you for joining us. Before I bring my guest of honor, please note the following virtual community agreements to ensure our time together is safe and optimized for all. We encourage cameras, but they're not required. Everybody's grown here, but we love to see your face. Closed captions are available in support of disability inclusion. Please remain on mute unless called upon to share. We want to make sure that we hear all the nuggets dropped and hear everything that Dr. White has to say, and others who will be joining us later in the celebration. Use the chat to share your thoughts and sentiments. If you're an emoji girl like me, use those, put the emojis in there, let us know that you're with us. And most importantly, share your experience. And we're using the official hashtag, you can see it there, but it's hashtag inclusion I'm sorry, I want to make sure I get it right here. Inclusion uncomplicated, unravel the knot, Nika White speaks. So you have 3 to choose from, use them all, use one, but we want to make sure that we're using them on wherever your favorite social media platform is. So that's inclusion uncomplicated, unravel the knot, and Nika White speaks. So let's make sure that we trend tonight, because we want to make sure that if those who aren't aware of what's going on, that they get this book too. So make sure that we're using that. So without further ado, I would like to welcome best-selling author of Inclusion Uncomplicated, Dr. Nika White.
Hello, Minda.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I so appreciate that. And I am so grateful to have you host this book launch event for me. I am super excited and really just can't wait to be in conversation with you and to engage with this awesome and supportive community. I am full of great gratitude, and I'm sure that that's going to come out in our time together this evening. So good to see everyone. I know that also we're live on LinkedIn. And so for those that are joining there, hello, good evening. And I look forward to sharing space with each of you this evening.
Yes, I'm excited for it. I know you're going to drop all the gems. So make sure you all, the hashtags are inclusion uncomplicated, unravel the knot. Okay, make sure that we're using those. And if you're on LinkedIn watching us, tag someone. Bring them to the party, bring them to the celebration. And so I'm just honored. You've done, I have to give you your flowers because you've supported me on my book journey. And so I'm nervous to be on the other side of the table here. So just gonna have fun.
Well, I'm glad to hear that someone else is nervous besides myself. I mean, I feel like I do this all the time, but tonight feels different. Tonight feels really different, but I don't mind a little bit of that nervous energy. I think it's just going to keep me on my toes. And by the way, happy Black History Month. I do want to make sure that I acknowledge that. Again, Black History is 365, but this is the month where there is an even more concerted effort on behalf of so many to just amplify Black excellence. And so, Minda, you represent that. So again, I'm just thrilled that you're here with us today, sharing in this experience.
Well, you are Black excellence as well, and it's my pleasure, and I'm looking forward to our celebration tonight. But before we jump into the details of your book, I feel it's important to give the audience an opportunity to learn a little bit more of the premise of the book by showing a short video your team produced, which gives a great overview. So everybody, please direct your attention accordingly.
For multiple years now, many of you have enjoyed the Inclusion Uncomplicated video series with new content released weekly. Well, now the essence of the heart of that content can be found in my latest book. At a moment in history when institutions are collapsing, violence and injustices are skyrocketing, and the outcomes of systemic oppression go viral daily, Inclusion Uncomplicated has arrived at the perfect time. This book is the guide you have been waiting for, one that unravels the complexity of diversity, equity, and inclusion, teases out root causes of systemic oppression, and delivers simple, actionable tools for real change right now. The wisdom within these pages comes from 20+ years of helping companies across the globe create more inclusive, equitable, and sustainable cultures. My philosophy is simple. DEI is a responsibility we all share. It will take each one of us moving from passivity to impact within our unique spheres of influence. That's why this book is written in a straightforward, conversational style that speaks to the leader in all of us. From real-life workplace scenarios to the latest research on what works and what doesn't, to strategies for untangling bias threads and unraveling the knots of confusion that bind humanity together, readers will find everything they need to become DEI allies, change makers, and inclusive leaders, no matter where they are on the DEI journey. Get your copy today wherever you like to purchase your books, and contact me if there's interest in a special book order discount for colleagues in your organization.
I love that video. Listen, I was doing it all wrong with my books. I needed your team, Dr. White, to tell me to watch all of these things. So cool.
There's going to be plenty of times for shout outs, but I will tell you that my team is absolutely amazing. And so all of the graphics and the videos and things of that nature is very much to the credit of my marketing communications firm, Peculiar. They're here today as well, supporting. And so I just want to say hello, Amy, John. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love it. So listen, let's talk about Inclusion Uncomplicated. I have some questions. We're having a celebration, so make sure you're still chatting with us. And if you have questions or comments or amens or whatever, put those in the chat. But Dr. White, how is this book different from the other two you've written? And what inspired you to write a third book?
So I love this question, Minda. How is it different? It's different in so many ways. The first thing I'll say is, as you've stated, this is book number 3 for me, but I feel like in many ways it's book number 1. The first book, The Intentional Inclusionists, it's all about growing as inclusion-minded leaders. It was a hybrid from a publishing perspective. And then the second book, The Next Level Inclusionist, which is all about growing yourself for diversity, equity, and inclusion success, it was self-published. And so this experience in terms of partnering with Forbes Books was vastly different. One of which is because things have evolved. The world is different now. I mean, I think that I'm different. I know that so much of the ways in which we try to tackle these really complex issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have greater ingenuity, greater creativity, greater strategies, greater knowledge and wisdom, I believe, that we've been able to leverage to produce content that helps, hopefully, people to be able to really just navigate the pathways in a way that helps them to rise above and to show up really effectively. It's different because we have experienced a lot in terms of the social complex issues and all of the injustices. And I think that has also really inspired and evolved the work in many different ways. And the last thing that I'll say to your question of what inspired me to write this book, it never fails. It seems like part of the challenge for people to really dig in deep and become committed to where that spirit of endurance remains, right, is because of the complexity of it. I hear time and time again from our clients at NWC that they want to do the right thing, but they're often afraid because they feel like, what if I do the wrong thing? What if I make a mistake here? So they'll stay on the sidelines, or they won't even engage in a way that's really meaningful. And I believe that that's a barrier. That's a barrier for us to be able to really do this work in a very effective way. So I wanted to demystify the constructs of diversity, equity, and inclusion to make it more accessible and tangible, to help people to not be afraid of it. We know that if something feels really intimidating to us, or it feels daunting, we may not even take the first step, right? And I don't want that to be the barrier. So I believe that part of my gift to the world in this book is to help, again, just make DEI simple and practical. It doesn't always have to be complicated. It is complex, but it doesn't always have to be. There are certainly some ways in which we can take it in digestible bites that I think will help us to further the work in a much more effective way.
Well, I love that. And I'm glad that you wrote it, because, I play around in the DEI space, but I'm not a DEI practitioner. And so this book really does break it down in a way. And I think even for those who might be watching us, if you're thinking about a career in DEI and you want to have some tools in your toolkit, this is also a really great book to add to your toolkit. So next question. I know I'm like, I get to ask the questions now. Who is this book for, and describe your audience?
Another great question. So let me start first, Minda, with who the book is not for, because as I was writing this book, it was really clear to me that this book was not going to be all things to all people, and nor did I want it to be. I was very much directed by who I felt like could be influenced, right? We always talk about, how do we create this buy-in? How do we get more people engaged into this work? So the audience that this book is not for are those who have dug their heels in really deep, and they have concluded and they maintain that level of conviction around, I don't care about this work. It is a distraction. It's not necessary. I want to stay rooted into my thoughts of bigotry and hatred and discrimination. That's not who this book is for. I have this philosophy that I believe that the energy and the time that we put towards trying to create a better society that is human-centered, we do ourselves a disservice if we continue to try to go after those who cannot be moved, right? So this book is more so for those who are on the fence. As I mentioned before, perhaps they want to be champions of this work. Perhaps they want to be able to transform this work within the spaces that they have influence, but they just don't know how. They don't know how to start the conversation. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to even talk about it with others. Or maybe even those, practitioners who have been charged to lead this work within their respective organizations. But, we know how it goes sometimes. You may be appointed or tapped for that, but are you well equipped? Do you have the resources from a knowledge perspective to help you to be able to navigate that in a way that's going to lead to sustainable change? This is also for those HR professionals. We know that this work around DEI has not always been a part of the foundational experience and training and learning of those HR professionals. And so now that's starting to change, which is great, because there's definitely a correlation there in many ways. But sometimes they also need expertise to be able to help them to go deeper into the work. And so whether you're a BRG leader, business resource group leader, maybe you're a member of your organization's DEI council, or perhaps you don't even have a title where DEI is in your job description at all. That doesn't matter. This is for you as well, because this work belongs to all of us. And if we have influence, not influenced by leadership in terms of positionality or title, but influence because of who we are in the organization, the relationships that we build in the organizations, the rapport that we have with people, then we have the ability to help influence this work in many ways. And so those are the people that this book is designed for.
Ooh, I love that. And I also got chills when you said, I had to write it down, this work belongs to all of us, okay? I have this thing where I do tambourine moments, and I had to break it out because it was just speaking to me. It belongs to everyone. Listen, if you're tweeting, if you're LinkedIning, whatever you're doing, hashtag inclusion uncomplicated. This work belongs to all of us, okay? Because it does. All of us. Period. Period. So I love that so much. And you're on your third book. That's a big deal. So I just want to congratulate you. I've written 3 books. I don't know how I have, but it's a labor of love. And I'm just curious, on this book, were there any portions that were hard to write? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
So Minda, as an author yourself, I'm sure you're going to be able to identify with what I'll share with this audience of supporters. Of course, I mean, this work is hard, and so as I was recalling some of the stories that found its way into the book, especially if those were stories that I was really impacted by, just hearing it, having to recount that and to write about it and to describe it certainly provided some moments where I felt a bit triggered, had to maybe step away and just, kind of reflect. But then also, I would say what was hard about this book is really trying to align with all the needs, right, that this body of work requires in order for us to really reach a place in society where we can feel good about centering humanity. You can't capture everything into one source. And so, by the way, I actually gave myself permission to not try to do that. I think there's so many wonderful authors and writers. Many are actually connected here with us today, including yourself, Minda. And I wanted this to be just a piece of the puzzle of this broader work of great content that's out there. I want it to be one of many tools that people can put into their toolbox. But I tend to want to give everybody everything, right? All the things. And so that was hard for me, is really just trying to identify what do you really want to say and how can you center on that because it's most important to you. The other thing is, we have timelines when we're in this process. We have timelines and deadlines, and sometimes they may be self-imposed, but then in other times, no, it's really based upon your publishing process and some other agreements that are in place. So you're trying to meet all those key deadlines. And sometimes the creative juices and even just the will and desire to want to write is not always just there and accessible to us, right? And so we have to make sure, especially as we're also working full time and being partners to our partners and, being parents and all the other things that finds its way into just who we are, to work in, just quiet time to reflect and be thoughtful about what do you want to say? How do you want to say it? Why is it important? Why is it impactful? So writing a book is, it's not an easy thing. And this third time around certainly proved that to me. And so I'm sure you can attest to that as well.
Absolutely. People say, well, it was your third book. That should be easy by the time, but you're writing different books. You're giving different pieces of yourself, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it. And speaking of the process, because I'm sure some of the people watching us are thinking about writing their books, and you've written, you've been on both sides of the table, Dr. White. You've self-published, you've now with a traditional publisher. Let's talk about the publishing experience with Forbes Books. Obviously, that's amazing. So congratulations to you on that. How did that come to be? And what was it like working with Forbes? Because that's prestigious. Everybody doesn't get to get published by Forbes Books, okay?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Minda. And you're right. This is, I feel really gifted to have been, vetted and selected and reached out by Forbes to say, hey, we know your content. We feel like that your voice is really powerful and we want to partner. So that was really big. The Forbes brand is tremendous. And so it's undeniable, maybe the weight of responsibility that comes with also being a Forbes Books author. But it's also an incredible opportunity, because one of the things that I think authors they really desire is to be able to have their content on a platform that really is going to reach the masses. And so I think that the relationship with Forbes is going to afford me that. So far it's proven to be a really strong relationship. So I'm really grateful. They were incredibly supportive from the start. There were a lot of unknowns. And Minda, as you know, there are a lot of moving parts and pieces. And they helped me to digest it in a way that made it manageable. What I really appreciate too is that they were so committed to my voice and committed to the stories that I wanted to tell and how I wanted to tell it. And that's important. Sometimes you get into publisher relationships where there's a lot of constraints, right, that they want you to kind of fall in. That was not the situation with Forbes. And that was really important to me, because I wanted to be able to be very forthcoming and unapologetic and to let this, allow me to sleep well at night. I wanted to be able to have all the content in it to be something that I could be proud of and could stand behind. And so I'm grateful for that. So there's actually a video that I think maybe the team has queued up to show, and this was actually put together by the Forbes Books team, and it gives you just a little bit of glimpse into my publishing experience.
I'm Dr. Nika White from Greenville, South Carolina. I'm a Forbes book author of Inclusion Uncomplicated, a transformative guide to simplify DEI. As a DEI practitioner of a couple decades, I have been entrenched in this work, really helping organizations to think more intentionally. I really was inspired to write Inclusion Uncomplicated because I wanted to demystify the constructs of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And secondly, it was really important to me to make this work practical. And so this book is a guide. It's really a way to help navigate the complexities of diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. From the beginning, when I was partnering with Forbes Books, the entire process and experience was really easy. They were with me every step of the way. They helped prepare me for all of the unknowns, and they understood what I was wanting to accomplish, and they helped to really complement that. So far, I'm really excited about the results of Inclusion Uncomplicated. With the help of Forbes Books, my book reached bestseller status on Amazon. Before the pub date, we had sold already over 600 copies, but I don't know if that would have happened without the support of a partner like Forbes Books. The Forbes brand is amazing. I believe that the Forbes name speaks for itself, and it was really a good experience, and so I certainly would recommend it to anyone.
There you have it. I think some of the Forbes Books folks are on tonight, so I also wanted to say thank you. Thank you all for being here and supporting me, and also for being a part of this journey.
That was a great, great video. I love that. And pop quiz, what is Dr. White's favorite color? If you know it, put it in the chat. See if you're paying attention.
I know, right? You're paying attention. That's right.
Great video. I love that. Typically, we see the final product and don't have an understanding of what the process is like. So thank you for that little glimpse of experience through your writing process and working with Forbes. I love that. The one thing I know, how's everybody in the chat? Put some emojis, put some fire signs. We're now at the time of our celebration. We're having a short break of our Inclusion Uncomplicated book launch celebration event, but it's not a break for you to step away or grab a beverage, or use the restroom. But if you have to do that, you're grown, you can do that on your own. Hopefully you have your tasty beverage next to you, but rather we wish to maintain your undivided attention. I'm not gonna tap dance, we're saving that for something else, but because we are building in this break, for those of you who have not yet ordered your copy of Inclusion Uncomplicated. So this is your time, we're gonna do that now. So here's the call to action. We ask that you share tonight everything. You know the hashtags, hashtag Inclusion Uncomplicated, hashtag Unravel the Knot. Make sure that you're posting and accepting the call to action that we share out tonight may earn you an Inclusion Uncomplicated VIP swag box and other goodies. Who doesn't love some goodies, some VIP, mind you, okay? So be sure to pay close attention to the instructions. We will announce the winners at the end. So you have to stay till the end of the party so you can see if you win the VIP prize pack, because we need your shipping address. You can't get your VIP if we don't have your mailing address, right? Otherwise, somebody else is going to be willingly to provide that for us. So we're going to a 5-minute countdown, and we will give you some high energy music. I can't wait to hear what the DJ plays. And during this break, we invite you to go to any of the links that are placed in the chat by the team. So Target, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, you'll see them there. Place your order for Inclusion Uncomplicated. Once done, let us know by placing in the chat the word done or a purple heart. Wonder why we're doing that, a purple heart. If you are one of those who like to use emojis like me, I'm an emoji girl, so please use the purple heart, which is Dr. White's consulting company's brand color, and Inclusion Uncomplicated and all about humanity. So it's all about the purple hearts. It's the purple for me, y'all. So listen, this applies to all who have already ordered. So we're not saying those who haven't ordered it already, you don't get an opportunity to. So for those who've already ordered, you can use this break to go to social media and share your picture. Share your picture with your book and hashtag, and be sure to tag Dr. White on the platform that you choose to tag her on, so that we can reshare those things and make sure that people get really jealous and wonder what book is that, so that they could go and buy it too. And if you are here this evening, you are likely a supporter of Dr. White, and nothing says more, I support you, I want you to win, I'm rooting for you, than purchasing or sharing your book and encouraging others to do so. And I'll tell you, after putting out 3 books myself, I love getting that feedback. I love being encouraged by people who support me like Dr. White. And I want us all to be able to do that and celebrate her today. So this is a significant milestone. So take advantage of this break, get the book, post the pictures, use the hashtags, and let's turn to music up.
that gave me a wonderful opportunity to go to the chat and try to acknowledge as many folks as possible. I'm sure I missed some, but what a great treat to be able to have a moment just to pause and think about all of those who've come to support this evening. That really means a lot. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you all for being here. I know we're watching here with us on Zoom, on LinkedIn, other social platforms. So just thank you for being here. And thank you for the hearts. Thank you for purchasing. And remember, by doing this call to action, you get a chance to win an Inclusion Uncomplicated VIP swag and other goodies. So you don't want to miss. So you got to stay to the end, and we will start to announce those later on. I love that music. So that was a great break, Dr. White. Don't you agree? Best break.
Awesome.
I love it. So let's dig into more about the book. Dr. White, I'm sure there are parts of the book that you consider to be your favorite or most impactful content. I want to give you a chance to do a little bit of a live reading so that people can get that sample if they haven't started reading yet. I'm sure we don't have to pull anybody's arm to give the book tonight, but if they're curious what's inside, we'd love to hear you read a little bit if that's okay.
I would love to. Let me find my glasses because it's certainly going to require that. Thank you for asking. I always used to think that it was maybe a weird thing for people to read their book out loud. I don't know if you've ever felt that way, Minda, when you've been asked to read excerpts from your book. So it can feel a little uncomfortable, but nonetheless, I'm trusting this audience. And there are some parts that I perceive to be really impactful and important. And so I'm going to read a portion of the introduction, and I may skip around a little bit, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Minda. Leave no one behind is more than just a phrase or affirmation to reflect upon. This organizing principle drives every aspect of my leadership in the diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI field, and is embedded in the ways I show up personally and professionally to do this critical work. As an award-winning leadership consultant, entrepreneur, Black woman, and devoted mother of a neurodivergent son and a strong activist daughter, I consider DEI to be much more than a career choice. On one hand, it is my lived experience as a multi-generational minority with the dominant culture that systematically disadvantages people like me. On the other, it is within that same dominant system that I became an educated global expert because of college-focused parents and a commitment to generational wealth. This unique perspective enables me to understand conditions within both dominant and non-dominant cultures. I've inhabited both all my life and can now tease out parts of the systems and entrenched beliefs that gets us all knotted up, frayed, and disoriented inside and out. It is in the act of fully unraveling the yarn, straightening and pulling taut the raw fibers that bind humanity and belongingness, that we remember we are intertwined, interdependent. Consider this. If you pull the working yarn from the center of the skein inside of from the outside, the ball of yarn will stay put. No matter how much you unwind it, it won't roll around. You can unravel the yarn at your own pace and prevent a tangled mess. That is what this book aims to do, to unravel DEI slowly and carefully, smoothing out confusion and simplifying the process. I have deep convictions about the work of DEI. It is a calling, a ministry, as well as my career. I believe that DEI is not just a check mark for good business. It's a way to transform the world. I am not into shame, blame, judgment. Rather, I am into building bridges of understanding. Amid all the noise and anger and finger pointing, I bring a perspective of trying to bridge the knowledge gap, not to alienate people, but to help them and compel them to join the DEI journey, the journey toward a more transformational humanity. In essence, I am inviting people to tap into their greater selves. I shared the yarn tip because when I think of challenges surrounding DEI, I want people to unravel the big ball of yarn of complexity that binds us together. This creates space for us to begin the true work of weaving a more inclusive and equitable future. I'm going to skip to another quick part, and then I'll close it out, my reading. By far, resistance and lack of progress can be traced to one thing. DEI is viewed as overwhelming and downright confusing. There are myriad ways to describe, to deliver, and to measure this important work, and there are many paths to get there with varying degrees of success. Whether you are a newcomer or have been immersed in DEI for a while, unraveling each dimension of this work requires a trusted guide to knead the knots and loosen the tangles that seem impossible to get through. DEI is complicated, but it doesn't have to feel that way. My primary reason for writing this book, Inclusion Uncomplicated, is to demystify DEI concepts so that leaders, champions, change makers like you can own practical, actionable tools to make a real difference right now. The heart of my work is to help create transformative environments with intentionality around inclusion. This book will teach you how to do that personally and professionally. In the chapters ahead, you will find concrete advice and easy to follow steps that I've developed for more than 20 years in DEI leadership. I've defined the #1 barrier to DEI success, detailed steps that guarantee inclusion, shared common organizational mistakes, and revealed unexpected opportunities. You will learn from real-life workplace mistakes and successes, hear revealing stories from diverse voices, and upgrade your skill set to contribute to systems change. Think of this as a trusted guide you can return to at any time to avoid common pitfalls, to navigate through tricky situations, and to show up intentionally so action equals impact. As you needle through each page, you'll undo learned behaviors that entangle us in webs of racism, discrimination, and confusion. So that's just an excerpt from the introduction of Inclusion Uncomplicated.
I love it. I love it. I wanted more. It was that sample. It was like the Sam's Club sample. I was like, wait, I need the whole pizza. I need the whole thing. I need more of it. I love that so much. Again, unravel the knot. Use the hashtags Inclusion Uncomplicated, unravel the knot. I love the metaphor. I love the concept of this ball of yarn and unraveling it and not making DEI complicated. I think we as people are the complicated ones, right? But DEI, like, it don't have to be. I love that. Something that I want to share with all of you, if that wasn't enough to get you to go and purchase the book, I don't know what else will. The links are in the chat. Make sure that you do that. Dr. White, I want to talk about something else about the book writing process, because I think a lot of people who have not yet written their book, they may not know all the things that go into it to make a book successful, right? So yes, purchasing the book is important, sharing it out, that's really great. But Amazon reviews are so critical after a book's release. And I don't think that people understand how critical that is. And it requires, because we all like to read them, right? But it requires somebody to go and rate them based off of that. So it's very important that we all support Dr. White in this way because it's critical for the success of the book, the algorithms, the demand for the book with retailers. And so going to Barnes & Noble, if that's where you bought it, writing the review, that shifts the dynamics. It's very important. Amazon, wherever, local bookstores, women-owned, Black-owned bookstores, wherever you're getting them, write the reviews. Those matter. Now, after the pub date has passed, but getting those reviews, like I said, is very imperative. So I wish and encourage the audience to go to Amazon and share your review. Do that. We're going to give you a chance to do it, but it's so important. Many of you have already pre-ordered. And as Dr. White mentioned earlier, it became a bestseller before it was even released. So I just want to give you some love there. Put some purple hearts in the chat for that, because that's a big deal. Super fantastic. But I suspect many of you bought your book and you didn't leave a review. Okay, so we're not here to shame, as Dr. White said earlier, but we encourage people, now that you know, the more you grow, right? Now that you know how important it is to buy and write the review, I know that all of us want to do that. So on screen will be the instructions of how you do so. So as we go into our next 5-minute party break, this is another call to action, right? We'd like you to consider. Once again, if you aren't quite ready to provide a review, no worries. You can participate by promoting Inclusion Uncomplicated by taking your social media picture and posting it. We want you to continue to stay engaged however you can. But during this break, we're going to ask that you take a look at the screen and get a little more familiar with key leaders in the DEI space that Dr. Nika White wants you to be familiar with as well. So let's go for it and let's get those reviews going.
I love that so much, Minda. Thank you for being such a great success partner. That was so awesome to watch. It really was. I mean, while I was, privy to all of the great words that friends and other well-known practitioners in this space that I respect shared because of their graciousness and reading early copies of the book and providing their endorsements. But it's great to see. Yeah. If you don't know those names, by the way, those are some really amazing people. And so I encourage you to follow them.
Absolutely, everybody. And Dr. White, we love you and respect you. You're respected in the DEI space. And so we're just all here happy to celebrate you. Again, for everybody, make sure that you go ahead. Remember the call to actions. We're leaving reviews on Amazon and we're purchasing the book. And once you purchase the book, there's still an opportunity for you to win a swag bag, an Inclusion Uncomplicated VIP box. So make sure that you drop your hearts and done once you've gone to one of the various booksellers and did that. So you still have time to get a win. If you had a hard day and you need a win, get the book and you still have a chance to win. So really excited about that. But now we're going to get back into the questions because I know people want to hear more from you, Dr. White. But during this segment, we're going to take some audience questions. So I have to share the stage a little bit. And I'm okay with that because I know everybody has some questions themselves. So start to either place your questions in the chat or use the raise hand feature and we'll call on you when it's time and you can unmute yourself and ask your question or comment live. We want you to have that opportunity. But while you're thinking about it, and if you do want to ask live, we ask that you please turn your camera on so that we can see your lovely face. And so as you start thinking of what those questions are to put in the chat, I'm going to ask some more of my own. Dr. White, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to ask, to get to know you a little bit more. What do you like to do when you're not writing or consulting?
Oh, that's a hard question for me. And I'll tell you why. I am one of those individuals that I have a pure joy for the work that I do. So even in my downtime, I am ideating. I am, coming up with other ideas and ways to be able to, share the message of, the value of centering humanity. And so, but I know everyone does not want to hear that, but I did want to put that out there because that is truly a part of who I am. I'm one of those individuals, I believe in kind of work-life blend, and I'm just fortunate that the space I'm in really does blend well with who I am as a person. My husband and I have really gotten into travel. We love traveling. We have a daughter who is in her first year of grad school at LSE in London. And so, we are often making plans to be able to go see her. And while we're on that part of the world, go and travel to some other places. I think she may be even on tonight and it's really late for her. So hi, Hannah. I love watching suspense movies. That is one of my favorite things to do. The TV does not come on in my house unless my husband turns it on. But when it does come on, I am looking for a great suspense movie. So that's something that I really enjoy. I love praise and worship music. I love, being connected to efforts that it gives me a chance to just, be in community with others. I think that in general, we are designed to be in community with others. And so it gives me great joy to be able to socialize with friends and family. And the last thing that I'll say, which is a relatively new endeavor for me, is I really, really, really enjoy connecting with my mastermind group. Many of them are actually here this evening supporting, and I want to just recognize them. But the group is called Sisters Driving Impact. And so you all know who you are. Shout out. Thank you so much. Glad you're here.
I love that. I love that we get an inside view of what Dr. White likes to do when she's not helping workplaces not be crazy. So thank you for that. So we love you for that. The other question that I had for you is, what can you share that many don't know from just reading your bio or Googling you or your LinkedIn profile, besides you like praise and worship and suspense? What's maybe some other fun?
I gotta dig deep on this one. And for those that actually are part of our Intentional Conversations podcast community, I always ask this question of every guest co-host, and Minda, you will recall this as well. What do we not know about you from reading your bio, going to your LinkedIn profile? So here's what I'd like to share around that question. And I'm going to a place of vulnerability, but I think is so appropriate. I am fortunate to have a number of people that provide a level of support, to me, and they see me in my craft and in my profession. And there's only maybe a small nucleus of individuals that are really in my inner circle. to know that anxiety hits us all, you know, including me. And I think it's important to talk about that. Writing this book, there was a lot of anxiety centered around it. Coming to tonight's conversation, there was a lot of anxiety centered around it. And so I'm hoping that sharing this is maybe giving people permission to lean into maybe their own vulnerabilities and realize that you're not alone, you're okay. I have folks that will say, "You, Dr. White, you seem like you always have it, you know, you're well put together." And I'm like, no, I struggle some days just like, you know, others do. But what I find to be really important is, again, having that sense of community and support to lean on, and knowing that our worth is not aligned with any one particular endeavor or thing. It is really about how we feel about ourselves. And it is completely okay that if anxiety starts to consume your mind and your world, that you do something about it. And so I am one of those, and I do something about it. I have a therapist that I see every so often. I also have prescribed medication that helps me along the way, but I hope this is freeing to some people in this audience, but that's something that maybe people would not know just by reading my bio or by looking at my LinkedIn profile.
Yes, thank you for sharing that and being vulnerable. Vulnerability is a leadership skill. And so, you know, thank you for allowing us to learn a little bit more. And I'm sure it helped and freed some folks up so that they feel seen and know that they're not alone and that nothing is wrong with them or any of those things. But it's nice to have that in community. So I appreciate that. Listen, if you all have questions, make sure that you drop them in the chat or comments, or you just want to say some really amazing things about Dr. White, we will take that too. But if you have questions or you want to drop it in the chat, I can ask the question out loud, or if you'd like to ask it yourself, make sure that you raise your hand. I know to the team, if there are hands raised that I'm not able to see, please let me know. But is there anything that you see, Dr. White? You see anybody's hand? I just want to make sure.
I'm not seeing hands so far, but maybe this will provide some motivation. Yeah, if you desire to share, that also constitutes for getting your name in the hat for the VIP swag box. Okay, you don't want to miss out on that. So okay. I want to have at least one or two questions. I would love to answer your questions this evening.
I don't see where to raise my hand, but can we just jump out and ask? Sorry, my grandson is actually taking my time too, but I'm here for it. Everyone calls me girlfriend. Minda, Dr. Nika, thank you so much for taking this time to share this book. I have the book, and I will tell you where I am in my space. I've always been the person that never had the title, but always advocating for us to be able to get to certain places. And where I am right now, I think I'm going to go full throttle into DEI. I have one question. I think I said it to both of you guys earlier. How do we help in DEI in that space when it goes wrong? When the corporation fails to actually support when they're going through a discriminatory process, and they're coming to you for that help. They're coming to you for, I'm going through this experience, sincere baby. I'm going through this experience. What do you do to advocate? So you're actually standing not in human capital, but you're between human capital and the corporation. And I always land with puff, puff, pass, because I'm also a cannabis advocate. So puff, puff, pass. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for your question. It's quite loaded. You know, it really is. I'm not sure if we'll have enough time to fully, address your question, but let me say this. Amanda, I'm also interested in your perspective. I think that as individuals who are in this space, sometimes we can unintentionally place a certain level of pressure on ourselves to solve all the things. And I was talking about this to my mastermind group recently. I think what we have to recall is that sometimes our role is to plant a seed, right? That then perhaps someone else may come behind and nurture. And so we have to release ourselves of having that pressure of having to solve all the things and be all the things. And I think that's part of why we hear a lot about burnout. We hear a lot about people leaving this space who are really astute and wonderful practitioners. And so lean on your support system, identify those key strategic allies within the organization that also have a level of influence to be able to change not only just minds through, learning experiences, but also to be deeply entrenched in looking at systems, policies, procedures, culture, and letting it start there. So that's what I would bring to the conversation. Minda, is there something coming up for you?
Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. White. I think that helped a lot of folks who were in similar situations. So thank you, Cheryl, and your beautiful grandbaby for asking that question. But the only thing I would add is just, make sure that you take care of you, because when people come to you and always are, coming to you to solve the thing or tell the problems, we don't want you to burn out. We need you in this work too. And so make sure that you incorporate those strategies to cover yourself and provide peace when it starts to get to be a little too much. So I just want to make sure that your well-being is good too when you are being that resource for people. But I'm glad that people feel like they can trust you and have a space to go when those things do go awry.
Thanks so much. I appreciate your question.
Thank you for being here. Listen, we have time for another question. Is there anybody that wants to come off mute? And there we go. Hey, girl. Hey, Natasha, we see you.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm just in awe. And
yeah, you broke up for a quick moment. Can you restart that, Natasha?
Saying I am in.
Oh no, it looks like we have some difficulty.
We can't hear you, Natasha. And I feel like it's going to be really, really good. You're always dropping gems.
So maybe come back in. We want to try to get to that question. We want to make sure that we get it, or dial in, whatever you got to do, girl. We want to get that question.
Okay. She's saying she's going to call from her cell. Okay.
Well, we have another question here up top while she's doing that. Is it Kobina?
Oh,
yeah. Good evening, Dr. Nika. I would term, I normally do the camera, but I'm just picking my daughter up from school. We did a little grocery shopping, so I'm on my phone today. I'll say you're incredibly impressive. You've done amazing things. You're doing and going to continue to do amazing things. And one thing that I don't know that I have heard is, what was it that drove you to say, this is the time for me to do Nika White Consulting?
Oh.
What was it that made you say, the time is right, this is for me, and I'm gone, I'm on it?
I love this question. So thank you so much, Kwabena, for being here. And I always appreciate your support on our podcast. You're one of the routine participants. So thank you for that. So my pathway into entrepreneurship was not what I had in mind for myself. It was literally my husband, inspiring me. You're doing this work for so many people are tapping you, outside of your organization that you do this work for. So when are you going to take the leap? And at that moment, I had not considered it. And then people keep planting seeds. And so finally, I started really paying attention to it. And with the help of my husband and again, some other trusted folks, I began to plan my exit strategy. And I am so glad that I did, because while entrepreneurship is hard, extremely hard, it's also incredibly rewarding. And I will never go back. I will see myself ever going back. But yeah, it does take faith. It takes also believing in your ability to weather the storm on those days where you may not feel like you're making a difference or that you're making all the right decisions. And this is the thing, just because we know our craft and our trade does not necessarily mean that we have the business acumen and the business savvy to be able to run a business and grow a business. And so there's a lot to be considered in that regard. But I appreciate the question. I hope some of what I shared is useful to you. Thanks for your question.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you for asking that. We have time for another question. Natasha, it sounds like you're back. You want to ask your question? Good to see you.
Hi, thank you so much. Okay, so I was saying, hey, Linda, Dr. White. Thank you so much for just all the wonderful work that you are doing in the community. I am just in awe and always inspired by both you and Minda. And so my question is this. As we know, there are a lot of layoffs that are taking place across America. And if you don't know, wake up. And so I guess a lot of the layoffs, while the media is focusing on the tech industry, a lot of these layoffs are also happening in the D&I space. Organizations that pride themselves in their D&I work are completely doing away with their entire divisions, or still have the staff however, aren't allocating budget for the work to be done, meaning that you have to be creative and still do the work. And dare I go as far to say that there are some organizations that are still asking, either their ERG leaders or their DNI leaders, can't you find someone to do the work for free? Yeah. So the question there for you would be, what advice do you have for any persons currently, any current practitioners that are faced with such a dilemma? And the second aspect to the question from a consulting standpoint, a lot of people have simply left corporate America as a result of that. May it be voluntarily or involuntarily gone to the consulting side. And organizations clearly do not follow Minda on Twitter, and other, practitioners in the industry refuse to pay consultants and still want to pay under the guise in exposure currency. And so what advice do you have for people who are branching into consultancy and are still being told, well, are you willing to do it for free or for exposure? Thanks in advance.
I'm hesitating because I'm like, well, how much time do we have? This is a big conversation that's surfacing quite often, as it should. And I'm glad that people are naming this, and because it really is causing some individuals who did not know better to now know better, and hopefully they'll do better, right? And start paying attention. And I think that's part of the solutions. We have to keep talking about it. We have to keep educating people. For those of us who are consultants in this space, we have to be willing to say no to those opportunities, because we need to protect the full turf, And I get it. I understand. When I was early in my years as an entrepreneur, I felt compelled to say yes to almost every opportunity that came my way. And then I knew better, right? And so it is important to be selective. It's important to educate. I love that one of the individuals in our mastermind group was sharing that when she was presented with an opportunity to be a keynote speaker for Black History Month program, they were offering her $400. And not only did she say no pretty adamantly, but then she also provided the rationale for why. So it was an education piece that hopefully it landed on some fertile ground to where that person will take heed and really be considerate of that going forward. But we have to keep talking about it. We have to, know our own worth, stand our ground. And if we do decide to say yes to opportunities, make sure it's because you decided to say yes, because you were able to see and identify some other pathway of value, right? Because exposure doesn't pay the bills, right? Minda, what do you say to that? I know you're a big advocate of, get paid what you're worth.
I am. And everything that you said, I echo that 100 times. Thank you, Natasha, for asking the question, because that is top of mind for a lot of people, even those who are thinking about going into DEI. For me, I am seeing the change. For example, last Black History Month, I did 30 events at corporations. This year, I had the inquiries, but they didn't have the budget this year, right? So people were offering me $400. They're asking me, don't you want to do this out of the kindness of your heart? It's Black History Month. And so so I went from being booked and busy, choosing to have my sanity and get my rest and hydrate. And I'm doing less than 10 this because I know my worth. And if I say yes to pennies and wooden nickels, then what does that do for the next person, right? So yes, it is a different kind of month for me, but I realize that part of this is holding companies accountable. And so, it's tough, but I think, as Dr. White said, we all have to band together in this, and we will get to the other side of this, is what I do believe too. And success is not a solo sport. We're all in this together.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you, Natasha.
I love it. Now I'm all fired up, Dr. White, from that question. But going back to the book, you and your team have also created, which is really phenomenal, a supplemental learning experience that draws on the content of Inclusion Uncomplicated. So the party doesn't stop today. It's just getting started. At this time, I'd like to draw the audience's attention to the next video, which provides more details on that learning experience.
Introducing Unravel the Knot, an inclusion uncomplicated learning experience that helps unravel the knot that binds humanity together.
As a DEIB integrationist, it is important for me to amplify that Unravel the Knot learning experience is for all and can be organically but should be intentionally incorporated into all personal and professional spaces. Powered by 4 distinct behaviors taken from the pages of Inclusion Uncomplicated, participants will learn how to activate and ignite a passion for the journey toward uncomplicating DEI, communicating its value, and unraveling the knots that bind humanity. Participants can choose from 2 unique experiences: a 1.5-day retreat where there is an opportunity to connect meaningfully in person with others in an intimate setting, or a virtual experience where participants will work with their peers in a collaborative coaching environment. Both experiences will drive participants toward activating skills and learning strategies for refining their DEI journeys and provide the opportunity to interact with peers on the same path. Contact us today to learn more about how you can bring the Unravel the Knot and Inclusion Uncomplicated learning experience to your organization. Thank you.
That was so
I'm
nice.
so excited about that. I am. Our team has really poured a lot into, making sure that our learning experiences in general are just that. They're not trainings. We don't like that word. We tend to use language like learning experiences because it needs to be very well thought out. It needs to allow people time to process, to reflect together, to be able to apply what they're learning. And so I'm super excited. I'm super excited about that.
Oh, me too. It's so exciting to see that you're doing that. And I'm sure many organizations would value from having a cohort of leaders go through the Unravel the Knot learning experience. Again, our success is not a solo sport. But what I'm curious about after seeing that is whether there are opportunities for individuals to be exposed to this learning experience outside of the cohort of peers belonging to the same organization. Do those opportunities exist, Dr. White?
They do, Minda, and thank you so much for giving us a chance to talk about that. Yes, so the Unravel the Knot experience is for cohorts within an organization to be able to go through that experience together. But I'm keenly aware that there are a lot of individuals on their own. They're on their journey of deepening their learning and understanding, and probably are curious about how can I get involved in something that's similar. So I would like to invite my colleague, Cosette Strong, my colleague with NWC, to actually come on. And if the team could make sure that she gets added as a spotlight. Cosette is an amazing colleague, and she serves as our senior DEI for DEI design and strategy and design. And she's been working very closely with me on developing this experience. And so I want her to actually share some thoughts about not only the experience for cohorts within an organization, but then also this book clubbish. I say ish because it has some sentiments of it, but a little bit different opportunity that we're making available as well. Welcome, Cosette.
Thank you, Nika, and congratulations. And Minda, thank you so much for being here with us. It has been so exciting to have a front row seat to this journey for you, Nika. So I just want to say congratulations. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I'm also really excited about our experiences coming up. Unravel the Knot, this world-class, unique DEI experience, unlike any other, where those that you talked about before, people on the fence who want to go deeper in their journey and maybe need tools and frameworks and structures and guidance around increasing their capability to understand their own perspectives, right? The way they see the world and their place in this journey, this DEI work that you said is for all of us. And I truly share in that belief with you. They'll be able to connect with other leaders, whose journeys are on that parallel path and unraveling this knot of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And, we will, as facilitators and designers of this experience, provide concepts and frameworks to support them in demonstrating the work and having the impact that they want to be able to commit to uncomplicating DEI and going deeper in their journey. So I'm really excited about that. And the 4 behaviors that you mentioned before, can I share them with our audience, Nika?
Oh, Absolutely. Go for it.
Okay. So be intentional is the first one. The second is look for the evidence to activate the journey. And the third, create space. And the last, educate and elevate. This 1.5 day experience, especially, I think will be extremely engaging and immersive and impactful for everyone who attends and is part of it. We have a lot of surprises in store. So I'm really excited for those that we'll have the opportunity to engage with.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Cosette. And so a lot of what you shared just a moment ago is really mostly directly related to the Unravel the Knot learning experience. But now this book clubbish opportunity I just shared, we actually have a video to promote this opportunity. And then Cosette, I'll let you kind of share any final thoughts, because again, this is another opportunity where you and I have had a chance to work really closely together, and loving the vision that we have for this. And so we could get that next video set up for the book club event. It'll be awesome.
I'm excited about this opportunity, and I want to personally invite you to join me for the official Inclusion Uncomplicated event in April, the only opportunity open to the general public where I will facilitate discussion on content from the book, creating a unique learning experience for each of us who desire to go deeper as we take the next step in the journey to unravel the knot that binds humanity together. Learn more and register at nikawhite.com.
It's a great video. That is a great video. I am so excited for people who have the opportunity to join us for that, and to have a little bit of a preview of some of the ways that the content from your book will be brought to life, where they can apply this to, their operational lives day to day. We talk about ourselves as integrationists when it comes to this work, and this is the way to do that, to go deeper and engage with this content, and really take the time to find these strategies and have these discussions and go deeper, so you can activate the journey immediately and get started as being part of this impactful work.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Cosette. That is well said. And I think it's important to share with this audience that we have a limited number of the Unravel the Knot experiences that we're actually going to be executing in this calendar year. So if you're part of an organization that you feel like would gain value, then certainly do not hesitate to reach out to us. We would love to be in conversation with you. And in terms of the opportunity that we're referring to as a book clubbish, it's a behind the scene joke, because, as we were thinking about how do we really label and call, what do we call this, right? We said, well, book club it's a little, different from how we are envisioning this. And so we don't really want to call it book club. So that's just an inside joke I want to share with you. But the point that I want to make is the same way that I approach this book writing process, to where this could become a guide for people. And I'm saying this because I'm holding up the book. It is a tool, and we want to make sure that through those learning experiences, we are further supplementing those tools for people's toolboxes, right? I want this to be a book that remains on people's desks, that they will return to time and time again. I want pages to be dog-eared with, notes in the margins. And, one of the things that I really appreciate about the book is that we were so intentional to, at the end of each chapter, include critical reflection points. So there's some little micro learning activities for people to really reflect on, so that they can really process, what did I read? How do I feel about it? How can I now apply this? And then each chapter also has a chapter summary. And I'm going to ask my marketing team if we could get up actually just a slide to show the just a sample of the chapter summaries. There was a lot of love put into summarizing those most salient points. And so I just want you all to get a little taste of what that entails. Yeah. So for those of you who've already received your copy of the book, you know that each chapter ends with one of these. And it's just a way to, again, just summarize some of the more salient points that were raised in that chapter. Great. Thanks, John, for pulling that up. And thank you so much, Cosette, for being here and sharing with us this evening.
You're welcome. Thank you. Congratulations again.
I love it. Oh, if you haven't, the link's in the chat to join in. The Eventbrite is in the chat, so make sure that you click and join the book club-ish. So I'm excited to see Dr. White and Cosette, what you all are going to be providing and bringing. So don't hear it on the streets, be there. So go ahead and click that link right now. Dr. White, I love a good manifesto or a pledge. I'm a pledge kind of girl because I think it helps personalize the call to action that needs to occur on an individual's part, and it fosters accountability because we all need that. I have included them in my books as well, and I know you have too. As we prepare to bring this celebration to a close, I'd like for you to introduce the Unravel the Knot That Binds Humanity manifesto and read it so we can each set our intentions on what the journey entails.
Oh, I so appreciate you asking this question. And I was very much inspired by the book that you most recently wrote. Actually, the one before that, where we did the book club together right within, and you had this pledge. And I thought, how impactful is that to help set people's minds before they start the reading process, the learning process, to really ground them and center them in how to best tackle, those endeavors. And so this manifesto is designed to do just that. We'll pull up a visual of it, but I will read it to you because I think it really is impactful. And I know that many of you have already have placed your order. So I want this to be placed into your hearing. So this is the Inclusion Uncomplicated Manifesto. Within the pages of this book, you will find hope, courage, confidence, and practical solutions to take part in the transformative work of making inclusion uncomplicated. My promise to you is to help bring clarity to the complex, provide you with confidence, and encourage you in the endurance of unraveling the knot that binds us together. As you spend time reading and reflecting, you will have the opportunity to envision the value of your contribution, a value that will not invest in the divides that place people on opposite ends of a tug of war, which hinders and restricts in a manner that diminishes human potential, but a value based on trust that knows if we pull and tug, we only tighten the knot and compound the complication. When we commit to extending trust, we move beyond simply finding a problem. We can loosen our grip on the thread and move toward the center. Getting to the core of anything requires starting where you are and working your way back to the source. Inclusion Uncomplicated is a movement inviting all people to be more incredible stewards of human relationships and their unstoppable potential. It is a movement towards something that has long been forgotten, misplaced, and ignored. That is, it is an exercise to get back to the root and core of humanity. This is our call, to look into other human beings' eyes and know they each matter and add value. Inclusion Uncomplicated is about getting back to where people can do the most good and make a true and lasting difference. Prioritizing an investment in humanity with all its parts, pieces, stories, glories, flaws, and splendors. May we commit to doing our part to simplify the complex work which begins with each of us. May we commit to letting go of the tug of war that only tightens the knot. May we commit to getting to the center, because that is where we begin to unravel the knot that binds humanity together. And may we commit to perseverance, not giving up or quitting. Together, we can make inclusion uncomplicated. And I am cheering you on.
Ooh, I love it. I love that so much. Listen, if you're wondering how can I get the manifesto, it's called Getting the Book right now on the platforms that you get it so that you can have it and share it, and still maybe there might be time for you to still win. But Dr. White, I just wish to thank you for writing this book. Inclusion Uncomplicated was a much needed book more than ever right now. So thank you for bringing this to us and guiding us on this journey. Thank you for trusting me to host your celebratory event. It's an honor for me to be part of your journey. As you reflect on this milestone, I can only imagine there are some special folks you'd like to acknowledge, because success is not a solo sport. It takes a village. We're not leaving nobody behind. So I wish to give you the space and time to do so.
I so appreciate that. Yes. There's so many that I certainly want to call their names and just show appreciation to, because again, this is not a solo sport. And I have had a lot of success partners, to use your language and terminology, Minda. And so I'm a woman of faith. And so I would be remiss if I didn't say that I am grateful to God for giving me such an opportunity, for giving me a platform, for giving me a chance to have my voice centered. That's so important. For those of us that do this work, we know how important that is. I'm very grateful to Forbes Books for seeing in me the ability to be a partner, to produce something that is worthwhile to gift to the world. And so that is an incredibly big honor. And I'm very appreciative. I want to thank the NWC team. Y'all, I have the best team. I feel like they have been on this journey along with me every step of the way, and they continue to just lean in. And I'm really grateful to each of them for all that they've done to help manifest this vision that I have and incorporate it into the work that we each care very deeply about. I want to thank Peculiar. I know I gave them a shout out earlier, but they're our marketing communications firm, and I am serious about my branding. You all know that, and they have been tremendous partners to me, and I'm so grateful for that. So Amy and John, thank you so much. I want to thank my family. Their question was raised earlier. How did you get into this entrepreneur space? It was all because my husband planted that seed. I didn't see it. He saw it. And I am grateful to him for his support. I want to thank my mom and dad. I also want to thank my children. They are part of the reason that I wanted to write this book, because I want to make the world a better place for them. And so Hannah and CJ, I love you. Thank you both so much. We have amazing clients. I would be remiss if I didn't say I am so grateful for them entrusting us to do really important work that helps to influence their greatest asset, which is their human capital, right? And so we're grateful. We don't take it lightly that people entrust us with such important and meaningful work. And then to all of these supporters who show up, who post, who purchase a ticket, whatever you do, I see you, and I value how in which you show up for NWC and for me and for this work in general. And so I'm just really grateful. And Minda, thank you, my friend. We have been rolling for quite some time. We've gone through a couple different books together, and I am just so grateful. You are unmatched when it comes to being a success partner. You model that so incredibly well. You live by your word, and that level of authenticity is very much appreciated. And so, Minda, I cannot have thought of a better person to align with the celebratory event. And I'm just grateful that you said yes, and that you were a willing participant to help me recognize this milestone. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, it was my pleasure. There was no other answer, but yes. So thank you for thinking of me. Shall we end with announcing 3 winners of the Inclusion Uncomplicated VIP boxes? But Dr. White, why don't you tell them what's in the boxes?
Okay, well, I'm going to show you a little bit of what's in the box, but I will tell you that the pictures are not going to do it justice, because there's lots of goodies in there, including some items that are not even featured here. But of course, the book is in there. So for those of you who are like, well, darn it, I've already ordered the book. That's great. You can gift it, right? A book is a great gift. And so we want you to make sure you place it to someone else's hands. You have an Inclusion Uncomplicated journal in there. You have a pen. You have the manifesto that I read earlier tonight. You also have greeting cards that will provide a way for you to show appreciation to others who are unraveling the knot and showing up for others in a big way. You have a copy of all of those chapter summaries and like flashcards that you can put on your desk to refer back to, and even a little tasty treat that's inside that's not featured here, but we definitely want to get that to you. So I'm going to invite my colleague, Courtney Perry, who serves as our Director of Business Development and Strategic Engagements, to call out those names for us. And so Courtney, we're going to spotlight you, bring you on, and this is how we're going to end, just announcing our winners. But if your name is called, need to make sure that you place into the chat a direct message to me, your address, your shipping address. That's the only way we'll know to get it to you. And so stay on the line and make sure that you place that into the chat. And Courtney, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have 3 winners. I checked. I think everyone is still with us. So we have Charlene Richardson.
Yay.
Yay. Come on down. We have Angela Jackson. Are you still with
Angela?
us? Yay. And Linda Butterline.
Awesome. Fantastic. So Linda, Charlene, and what was the other name?
And Angela Jackson.
And Angela Jackson. Y'all know what to do. Go to the chat, make sure you find my name and send me your shipping address. And there is a VIP box coming your way.
Congratulations.
And yeah, we're excited for you. Thank you so much, Courtney. I appreciate that. And thanks for everyone's engagement.
Yes.
So
I love that. we're at the end, but the party doesn't stop, Dr. White. People still keep hashtagging Inclusion Uncomplicated. Get the book, share it out, let your network know it. We don't hoard good information, we share it out. This concludes the Inclusion Uncomplicated book launch celebration event. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe evening. And Dr. White, any final words you want to say? And then we'll
just thank you all.
Take care, everybody.
Happy Black History.